All right, so get this. Elon Musk wants to buy OpenAI.
The company behind ChatGPT, yeah, it's a wild story for sure.
The thing is, he co-founded it, left a few years back, and now wants back in. But OpenAI is not exactly rolling out the welcome mat.
The media is going crazy with it, of course. You sent over a ton of articles, New York Times, CNBC Wired. Everybody's got something to say.
Yeah, so let's try to break it all down. What's really going on here? Why should anyone care? And what does this whole thing tell us about where AI's headed?
Well, we've got a lot to untangle Musk's motives. OpenAI's response, their whole history together. Buckle up.
Okay, so first off, Musk is offering, how much was it, $97.4 billion?
That's the number that's out there.
I mean, that's a crazy amount of money, right?
It is a lot, but there's this detail that most people are missing. He doesn't want the whole company. He's after the non-profit part of OpenAI, not the for-profit arm that makes money from ChatGPT.
Wait, so he wants the part that doesn't make money.
Yeah, it's a bit of a head-scratcher.
That doesn't seem like the Elon Musk we know.
Right, it's raised some eyebrows. His lawyers saying it's all about getting OpenAI back to its roots, open source safety, all that. But others think it's more about control and influence.
So less about profits, more about power.
Maybe.
Hmm.
And don't forget, this bid is way lower than what OpenAI is actually worth. It's estimated at something like $300 billion, so it's not exactly a generous offer.
Right. Okay, so what's OpenAI's reaction to all this?
Well, Sam Altman, OpenAI CEO, pretty much laughed it off publicly.
Like he did.
He even kind of threw some shade at Musk on X. You know, it used to be Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
He made this counteroffer to buy Twitter for a ridiculously low price, just to poke at him.
Oh, man, this is getting personal.
Totally.
Hmm.
And Altman's been telling his employees that OpenAI is set up so no one person can control it. He says Musk's just trying to mess with them because they're doing so well.
So basically just a bunch of public jabs back and forth.
It does seem that way. But
Yeah.
to really get what's going on, we need to go back a bit to when Musk and Altman were actually on the same team.
Okay, let's rewind time.
Back in 2015, they co-founded OpenAI as a nonprofit. The idea was to make sure artificial general intelligence, the really powerful AI would benefit everyone. But then in 2019, Musk left.
Right.
There were these rumors about disagreements, and then OpenAI starts having all this success.
So maybe there's a little bit of I told you so
Yeah,
mixed in with Musk's motives.
it's possible. And he hasn't been shy about criticizing them. He keeps saying OpenAI has abandoned its mission, and he even sued them for antitrust violations. This whole bid just adds fuel to the fire.
So we've got bad blood, big money, and the future of AI hanging in the balance.
It's a lot. Before we get too deep, though, can we make sure everyone understands this nonprofit versus for-profit thing?
Good point. It can get confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, so at first, OpenAI was all nonprofit to guide their mission, the ethics of their work.
Yeah.
But developing advanced AI is expensive. So they created this for-profit subsidiary to bring in investors and actually sell their products like ChatGPT.
So the nonprofit is like the brain and the for-profit is the muscle. You could say that. But now OpenAI wants to turn their for-profit arm into a traditional for-profit company, which is where things get messy.
How so?
Well, how do you put a value on what the nonprofit contributed? And who gets to decide how that money is used?
And that's where Musk's bid comes in, right?
Exactly. He's basically saying, hey, I think the nonprofit is worth this much, which throws a wrench into their whole plan.
Wow. So it's not just about the money. It's about who controls OpenAI and maybe a big chunk of the future of AI.
That's the big question, isn't it?
Okay, so we've got this fight over OpenAI and who gets to control the future of AI. But there's this whole other angle we haven't even talked about.
You mean the political side of things?
Yeah, it's not every day you see the head of a big AI company hanging out at the White House making deals.
That's true. Altman went to the White House to sign that huge AI infrastructure deal with Oracle and SoftBank.
Right, Stargate they're calling it.
It's a pretty big deal. A $500 billion investment to keep the U.S. ahead in AI.
Which is interesting because of Musk's connections, with the administration.
Mm.
Plus, he's running DOGE, which is all about making government more efficient.
It does seem like mixed messages coming from the administration. They're putting tons of money into AI, but then you've got Musk challenging OpenAI's whole approach. And he's not a fan of government regulation.
It's like they're playing both sides.
Makes you wonder what their overall AI strategy is.
Okay, so we've got political games, personal drama, and this whole question of OpenAI structure and their move to becoming totally for-profit.
Right.
Can we go back to the beginning for a minute? OpenAI started as this nonprofit with this big vision of AI benefiting everyone.
Artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
The super intelligent AI we see in movies, right?
Exactly, the kind that can do anything a human can.
Uh,
But that kind of tech takes a ton of money. That's why they created the for-profit arm.
So they needed investors, and that pushed them toward becoming more corporate.
Exactly. And now they have to figure out how to pay back the nonprofit as they transition the for-profit side into a regular company. It was already a tricky situation, and then Musk throws in this bid.
Yeah, he's saying, hey, I think the nonprofit is worth this much.
Yeah.
And it's way less than what people think OpenAI is actually worth.
Right, and it just makes everything more complicated.
Now, what about those lawsuits you mentioned?
Oh, yeah, things are getting messy. Musk is suing OpenAI, saying their deal with Microsoft is basically an antitrust violation.
And what's OpenAI's side of the story?
They're saying Musk wanted to turn OpenAI into a for-profit company back when he was involved, and that he knew they needed someone like Microsoft.
So in a classic he said, she said?
It does feel that way, but it shows how hard it is to balance big dreams with the realities of building new tech in a really competitive market.
And this whole thing brings up some big questions about how we want AI to be developed and who makes the decisions.
Absolutely. Do we want AI to be about making money, or should we focus more on ethics and how it affects society?
Yeah. And who gets to decide, governments, corporations, or should it be more democratic and involve everyone?
These are questions that are getting more and more important as AI gets more powerful.
And this fight over OpenAI is like watching those questions play out in real time.
It shows us that technology isn't created in a vacuum. It's shaped by the people who build it, the companies that fund it, and the whole political and social environment.
This is getting pretty deep.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about some random tech here. AI could change everything from healthcare and education to how we work and connect with each other.
It really could. And that's why these conversations are so important now while AI is still young.
Okay, we've covered a lot. The politics, the lawsuits, the drama, the big picture implications for AI. Anything else we should hit before we wrap up? Okay, so we've talked about all the drama, the personalities, even the politics. But this whole OpenAI thing makes you wonder about the future of AI in general, right?
Yeah. It comes down to this tension. We want AI to help humanity, but a lot of its development is about profit and competition.
And those two things don't always go together. Like, what happens to AI for good if it's all about making money?
It's a real concern. Look at social media. It started with all these ideals about connecting people, but now it's all algorithms and ads.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So how do we stop AI from going down that same path? How do we make sure it's actually a force for good?
It's tough, but I think we need to focus on a few things. First, transparency.
Okay.
Right now, a lot of AI development happens in secret. We need more openness about how these systems are built so we can see if they're biased or not.
So more transparency could keep things on track.
Exactly. We also need to think about who has the power. If just a few companies control the best AI tech, it could create monopolies. We need more competition.
Maybe some antitrust laws or policies that help smaller AI companies.
Those are good ideas. And we can't forget about the government. They need to support AI innovation, but also protect the public. That means funding ethical AI research, setting rules for data privacy, and creating guidelines for how AI should be used.
So it's not just about the tech companies. It's about having the right laws and policies, too.
Definitely. And everyone needs to be part of the conversation, governments, companies, researchers, and the public. We need to have a real discussion about what kind of AI future we want.
So what about our listeners? What can they do to make a difference?
First, stay informed. Read articles, listen to podcasts like this one, talk to people about AI. The more you understand, the better.
And don't be afraid to speak up. Ask questions, challenge assumptions. Say something if you see something that seems wrong.
Exactly. Your voice matters. Support organizations that are working to make AI better. Get involved.
It's easy to feel like all this tech stuff is happening to us, and we can't do anything about it. But that's not true. Our choices matter. They will shape the future of AI.
That's so important. This whole OpenAI story might fade away, but the questions it raises are here to stay.
So to our listeners, we'll leave you with this. Don't just watch this happen. Be a part of it. Learn, engage, and help shape the future of AI. Because in the end, it's going to affect all of us.